So, let's do a little boxing talk. I want to start off by talking about Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. Anthony Joshua just seems ready. He seems calm, relaxed. And AJ's never been a trash talker, never been a big talker. He will say some things to you if you get under his skin too much and he feels disrespected. But other than that, he's not the trash talking type. He just goes in the ring and handles his business. Now, Daniel Dubois has a good thing going for him right now. And for Daniel Dubois, in terms of skills, I've always liked Dubois as a fighter. But in terms of skills, unless he brings something different to the table, this weekend, I really don't see him outboxing, Anthony Joshua. I feel like he's going to have to, knock AJ out to win. If Anthony Joshua would go into a fight and hold back, which I really don't see him doing, I feel like AJ understands what he has to do and what he's been through. He's learned from it. So we've seen Anthony Joshua bounce back and look better. I can't say for Dubois that he's really any better than what he already was. Stopping Urkovich, people that were saying they thought Urkovich would win, I felt like unless Daniel Dubois really just doesn't have it in him, he should beat Urkovich. I mean, I've never really saw too much about Urkovich other than he's tough. He does come to fight, but I was never really impressed by him. And I thought that Dubois should win, and he did. So him stopping Urkovich wasn't a shock to me or a surprise. I felt like he was supposed to win. But it was a good win for him. He silenced people that thought he was going to get, walked down, worn out, and pretty much knocked out, stopped by Jarrell Miller. So he has those two wins that, they got him to where he is right now. So, that being said, as far as him beating Anthony Joshua, what I think also will come into play, should Anthony Joshua be able to execute the way he's supposed to, is that all of the trash talking and all of the I'm going to do this, that, I'm going to stop him, and it's like he's trying to psych himself out. That also works against you when you expect someone to fold and then they don't. And you realize, you're here in an actual fight. And this guy isn't going to give you your way. So, for Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, AJ's been known to keep his composure better than Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois, pretty much he's hungry right now, and I feel like he's coming to win. We're just going to have to see what happens. But what I'm saying is overconfidence definitely can play a part in backfire on you, because if he thinks that he's getting under Anthony Joshua's skin with all the talk, AJ is used to that. It's like they want to believe that AJ has the soft side, and if you come at him aggressively, he's going to fold. But when you're in there with someone just as determined as you are, or more determined than you are, and you're dependent on weaknesses that don't show up, that definitely can backfire. And AJ can crack as well. So I don't know. It's funny how people keep talking about how hard Daniel Dubois hits. It doesn't come down to who's the hardest puncher, but I definitely don't think he hits harder than Anthony Joshua. And regardless, in terms of Daniel Dubois beating AJ, outboxing him, and all of these new refined skills, we've yet to see that. So we'll see what happens come fight night. You never know how long a fight's going to go, but if AJ's on point, he should win this fight by knockout. Another thing I want to talk about. I read an article where Mike Tyson was actually saying that right now, it's hard for him to walk. Physically, he doesn't feel, like the way he'd want to. But around fight time, he'll be 100%, he'll be ready. Now, I don't know how much of that is bravado just to make people talk, and because I really don't see how a person can barely walk and they're training for a fight. Now, the fact is, a lot of people now are saying Mike is going to destroy Jake, he's going to knock him out. They've been looking at more film of Mike Tyson, and people are coming to that conclusion. Well, what they're going to do with Jake Paul, should he win, is build him to be Superman. He beat Mike Tyson And regardless to Mike's age and the fact that Mike hasn't been the same since he was 38 years old, that it will make, they want to build Jake Paul to be this superstar, this guy that's ready for prime time, and he's not. He's not, and Mike Tyson's nothing like what he used to be, not even close to it. So that being said, it's a move to build Jake Paul up, and it's another, huge payday type of, he beats Mike Tyson, his stock goes up, and even if people hate him for beating Mike Tyson, they'll watch him because they want to see him lose. Should he beat Mike Tyson, we'll try to get the casuals. We'll be able to, pull the Jedi mind tricks on the casuals to have them thinking that this guy beat Mike Tyson. Like, yeah, he did. And so did a whole lot of other people. And Mike Tyson's much older now. So this whole Mike Tyson's being reinvigorated and all of this type of stuff, it's to build the fight. But what are we going by? Last time Mike Tyson got in the ring was that little exhibition with him and Roy Jones going through the motions. And if you really have common sense, you know what you saw. But we'll see what happens. And last but not least, I talked about Canelo and Berlanga's fight in the last video. I just want to say, people need to understand something. We all know that Canelo can fight. We all know that. Okay? I don't think he beats Bivol. I think Bivol beats Benavidez. And basically, I gave my take on Crawford. I just think Crawford's too small. Okay? But, not saying he can't win. But I just don't see it. He's going to have to show me, for me to really, believe that he can beat Canelo. I just think Crawford, listen, it's one thing to watch someone fight and you have a plan and, I do this, I'll do that. But Crawford's power is not something that Canelo's never felt before. Crawford doesn't have devastating punching power. Crawford has good power, and basically it's not about that skills pay the bills. But Crawford also has slowed down. He's not as elusive as he once was. And for people that's talking about, his last fight and how this guy that he fought was, with the upper body movement and all this, is like, listen, stop it. That guy is no Canelo. He's not even close to what Canelo is now. He's not even close to Canelo. And so at the end of the day, it's a whole different fight. And whether that fight happens or not, which I doubt, but here's what I'm saying. It's not so much about Canelo what I want to say. I want to say, as far as Edgar Berlanga goes, Berlanga is in a position, to me, somewhat, like what Franklin was in. Only difference is really people knew more about Berlanga than they did about Jermaine Franklin. But when Jermaine Franklin fought Dillian White, he lost at a decision where a lot of people thought he won. So it was a fight that had mixed feelings about how the fight went. And his very next fight was against Anthony Joshua. Now, he lost both of those fights. And of course, well, the idea is to win and have your stock go up. But Berlanga, being that he didn't get knocked out, and a lot of people thought that he was going to sleep, he lost the fight. And it's not like Canelo destroyed him, but, Canelo pretty much won the fight, and he won it, and there was no doubt who won, okay? But at the same time, Berlanga, if he tries to keep it with the top-level fighter, I believe it might be like a Caleb Plant. But I think for Canelo, he'll make a chess move, and I can see him rematching Caleb Plant more than I can see him fighting a Benavidez, Dimitri Bivol, or a Terrence Crawford. And also, Bivol wants to beat him at 168. He already beat him at 175, and it wasn't even close. The reason Canelo, if he does fight him at 175, will be for the same reasons he's been doing this whole franchise champion thing. Because he can lose to Bivol and still hold on to the belts that he has at 168. So it's the same thing over and over. And if that was to happen, and I believe Bivol wins regardless, 168 or 175, at what point do people just get tired of Canelo trying to just hold off and look for a big payday cash out? Because pretty much that's what he is. That's what Crawford is, like I said in the last video. But for Berlanga, I think Berlanga, I don't necessarily think he has to jump on a Caleb Plant or try to secure a fight with another top-level guy just yet. It can be top level, but I mean, because when you look at 168, there's really nobody left for Canelo. There's really nobody damn left. I mean, honestly, it's outside of, there's really nobody left. And, you know, do the fans really want to see a Caleb Plant rematch? Well, Caleb Plant fans may want to see it. The boxing world in general, I think they would settle for that other than a no-name guy. But that's not the fight everybody want to see. I think by the time, if that was to happen, the whole thought of can Caleb win a rematch would be there. But if that was to happen, then what? And you got to remember, for Canelo to not fight Benavidez now, he's never going to fight him. Because he's only going to get, look, they're both going to get older, and he has years on Benavidez. So that wouldn't work out for him to just keep waiting. So I think what I said before is going to happen, where Canelo's going to hold off and just keep fighting whoever he wants. And then it gets to the point where if he does have a fight with a guy that he's asking $200 million for, $150 million for, yeah, he's asking for those prices because he see the danger. So once you have it in your head, I don't have to fight this guy. I'm bigger than him. I don't need him. This is what you're going to get. Fighters who pretty much say, pay me this, pay me that, or no fight. So a guy like Berlanga, you know, he pretty much, as far as a high level fight, I'm looking at Caleb Plant. You know, Caleb, listen, 168, it's not a deep division. So the thing is, where they are right now, well, for Dmitry Bivol, you know, Buterviev, you know, Benavidez, what's the other guy that was at 168? The other David that wound up going to 175. You know, it's like Berlanga would be, if anything, if he can take over at 168, you know, after Canelo, if he can, you know, for namesake, who's there? So he'd be in a situation of going right up to 175. Just like how you saw these guys going from 130 to 135, then all of a sudden now you got the 135 pounds that all jumped up to 140 pounds. So I feel like for Berlanga, here's the thing. It's not about just taking a top-level fight. It's making sure that you improve as a fighter. So when you do take that fight, you have a better chance of winning, other than just saying, you know, I'm just going from one tough fight to the next, but nothing has improved about you. Where Berlanga stands right now, outside of knocking Caleb Plant out, I don't see him outboxing Caleb Plant. Now, Caleb Plant, if he's overcome his stamina issues, I don't know. You know, he stopped the last guy. He stopped him. So, like, what, 7th round was it? Something like that. But bottom line, so we don't know. But for Caleb, 32 years old now, he would definitely want to be in that position to get that rematch with Canelo. And I believe that Canelo will fight Caleb Plant before he fight any of those other three. So I feel like that would probably be the one guy that Canelo goes after and Berlanga goes after. But between the two, I think Caleb would turn down a Berlanga fight for, you know, Canelo rematch. We'll see how it happens. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys now, and I will see you guys soon with some more boxing talk.